Is doubling down on claims he made over the weekend that he saw thousands of Muslim Americans in New Jersey celebrating after the September 11th terror attacks. Trump first made the remarks at a rally Saturday and then stood by them Monday night at an event in Columbus, Ohio.
During a speech recently, I said that I saw in parts of New Jersey, Jersey City, but parts of New Jersey, I saw people getting together and in fairly large numbers celebrating as the World Trade Center was coming down, killing thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people. People are still dying over what happened to the World Trade Center, and they're dying a terrible death. And I saw people, and I saw them on television, and I read about it on the internet, and I read about it. So they said, "Oh, we can't find anything, Mr. Trump." The reporters are calling all day, all night. They want to find out, did Trump make a mistake? So I have some good people. And they checked and they checked. And believe me, it's being cleared off, plenty of stuff. They don't like that, because that's not good for the liberal cause, right? But they don't like it. And lo and behold, I start getting phone calls in my office by the hundreds that they were there and they saw this take place. People. So one of my people comes in. This is a story from the Washington Post on September 18th, a week later, 2001. In Jersey City, within hours of two jetliners plowing into the World Trade Center, law enforcement authorities detained and questioned a number of people who were allegedly seen celebrating the attacks and holding tailgate style. Tailgate, you know what that means? Tailgate. That means football games, Ohio State, thousands of people in parking lots, on roofs. Tailgate is a lot of people.
September attacks, there were strange coincidences surrounding the events. One report about a group of Middle Eastern men spotted the morning of September 11th parked just across the river from New York City has not gone away. Investigation of their presence has led to questions about whether Israel was conducting espionage on U.S. soil. We're joined now by ABC's John Miller with an exclusive report this evening.
That's right, Elizabeth. This is a case that took the FBI and the CIA more than 2 months to sort out, while 5 Israelis waited in jail. It began when this woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells. The FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th? And did they have any advance knowledge of what was going to happen that day? The men said they were just taking pictures at the time. They said they worked for a company called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrests, the offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some debate among American intelligence officials, many investigators believe some of the men were part of an Israeli operation.
Officials refused to discuss. He was also able to penetrate U.S. intelligence agencies and secret offices, yet all were released. The men who were detained due to the report they were taping the first plane crash and then celebrating and joking about it actually went on television and admitted it was their job to record the attack.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad. The fact of the matter is, we are coming from a country that experiences terror daily. Our purpose was to document the event.
How could they have known about the attack? And who sent them to document it? The evidence points to a large intelligence network inside the United States that had teams on the ground, such as the ones recording the attack, and electronic surveillance teams gathering information.
It took because the same people that controlled the banks controlled the media. That's right. You all know it, but you're afraid to say it. Maybe one day you'll get some courage to stand up and give America free media, a real free fourth estate. But right now, you ain't even worth the time of day.
Can you feel the tension in the air right now? I know I can. I can feel it all the way down in my plums, getting all swollen, with a light blue hue to them, fresh and juicy, ready for the picking.
Actually, I don't know, having a border, but you're also somebody who knows something about being targeted by foreign adversaries on domestic soil.
Well, Charlie, what you can see from this is this risk that so many of us tried to put out of our minds. I think so many Americans forget 9/11 now 2 decades on, coming up on the anniversary here in the week in front of us. And the risk that's inside the United States is very real. We saw the FBI director talk about red lights flashing. We know that we have millions of people inside of our own country from all over the world. We have no idea where they are, who they are, or what their intentions are. The heightened terror risk inside of whether it's Canada or the United States is very, very real, and the task that we put in front of the FBI is very difficult, and the fact that we still don't have control of our border makes the risk of this greatly increased over the coming days and weeks and months.
It's kind of astonishing how much time they spend worrying about things that aren't related to this, when this is obviously should be their top priority. But I also wanted to get your reaction to this. Starting on Monday, the House is teeing up the China Week with floor votes aimed at combating the CCP espionage and economic advances. As former Secretary of State and former CIA director, you warned the White House put blinders on as China has infiltrated our government. What do you mean by that?
Charlie, the Chinese Communist Party has had a concerted, determined, massive effort to infiltrate government at every level of the United States and, frankly, the private sector, too. So city governments, city councils, school boards, county commissions. We saw what happened in the New York governor's office, where they'd had a Chinese spy operating at the very senior levels of the New York state government for an awfully long time, and no one figured it out or even wanted to look. Governor Hochul just kind of looked away. She had to have known that she had a problem there. This risk that the Chinese Communist Party is actually here, inside the gates, working against our government, winning friends, conducting propaganda campaigns, and undermining our institutions and our government is very, very real. In 2020, I gave a set of remarks to the National Governors Association, where the Chinese Communist Party had rated every single U.S. governor, whether they were friend or foe or were working on them, basically. They are working against every one of those leaders, and they are not taking it seriously in places like New York and California, where we've seen congressmen get too close to spies. We saw a former senator have a adversary working inside of her own team, her own staff. This is a real risk, Charlie, and this will end badly if we don't get our hands on it. And if Vice President Harris were to become president, I doubt she would take it any more seriously than she has for these past 3.5 years.
You know, and it's really remarkable when you consider, obviously there's a very coordinated effort by China to infiltrate the highest levels of the government, but there's also evidence that they have, they're sending armies of people just across the border because the Biden-Harris regime has just allowed the border to remain wide open.
That's it. Leave me no choice. No television for a week.
What?
We are so serious, guys.
You're fucking high! Are you out of your mind?
Goes in Robert's wall safe, and it's gonna stay there.
No!
Okay.
This house is a fucking prison! On planet bullshit!
She is a demon. This is biblical. She's going to launch a nuclear war. The Russians are scared of her. you want to be part of this delusion club.
With Osama bin Laden. Can you believe what you have been seeing on CNN today, ladies and gentlemen? Can you believe it? Supposedly, a CNN reporter found Osama bin Laden, took a television camera crew with him, went into Osama bin Laden's hideout, interviewed him and his top leadership, his top lieutenants and colonels and generals in their hideout. This is a CNN reporter with a camera crew. And he came out and told everybody, within 3 weeks, Osama bin Laden is going to attack the United States and Israel. Now, don't you think that's kind of strange, folks? You see, because the largest intelligence apparatus in the world, with the biggest budget in the history of the world, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years, and can't find him. The FBI also, under the leadership of Louis Freeh, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years and years and years and many years, and can't find him. Some doofus jerk-off reporter with a camera crew waltzes right into his hideout and interviews him. And you know what his budget is? Zip, zilch, nothing. Now, that tells us two things. Either everyone in the intelligence community and all of the intelligence agencies of the United States government are blithering idiots and incompetent fools, including the entire apparatus of the FBI and all of their personnel, or they're lying to us. They're not looking for him at all. And the second is the truth. You see, the CIA created Osama bin Laden. They recruited him. They trained him. They found his leadership. They brought them all together. They showed them how to fight the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, and when that was over, they still continued to fund him and train him, and they're now using him to help bring about world government by making him the big boogeyman, because they can't use Saddam Hussein anymore. Did you ever hear of Osama bin Laden before you heard of Saddam Hussein? When did you start hearing of Osama bin Laden? It was after Saddam Hussein and Iraq were supposedly neutralized in the Gulf War, because they needed a new boogeyman. But they're not looking for Osama bin Laden, because I'm telling you right now, if I were the head of the Central Intelligence Agency, within 2 weeks I would have him dead or in custody without fail. Without fail. If I had those assets and that money, he would be mine. I would own his terrorist ass within 2 weeks without fail. A reporter from CNN and his little camera crew got into Osama bin Laden's secret hideout and conducted an interview. If you don't believe me, tune into CNN. They're probably running it right now as I'm speaking. And if you believe it, you are one of the stupidest jerks that ever lived on the face of this earth. And whatever is going to happen that they're going to blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you even believe it.